What is up, you guys? I'm Charmx. Today I'm going to be reacting to a film theory, how to save Jurassic World, or Jurassic Park, brackets Jurassic World, by the film theorist. Now, I assume this is talking, I don't know, I assume it's talking about Jurassic World, like the first one, which I actually liked that movie a lot. I thought it was a pretty good one. But yeah, at the end of the movie, it turns out like the whole place was like destroyed. So I don't know how they could possibly make another movie, which they are. And I think it's out right now. Anyway, I guess this is Matt Pat's theory on how to save Jurassic Park. Because if you didn't watch the last video, let's just say the whole park fell apart. And yeah, I thought it was basically over. But anyway, with that being said, the original link's in the description. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the Film Theorist. Without any further ado, let's begin.
Hold on, people. Stop the Jeep ride. Just stop it. Yo, John Williams, cut the music. Steven Spielberg, you should know better. If I'd made this mistake, the internet would be running me out of town on a rail. Come on, Stevie.
What mistake?
Triceratops, Velociraptor, and T-Rex aren't from the Jurassic period, meaning that the park should be called Cretaceous World. Hey, no one said scientific accuracy was catchy.
Cretaceous World? It kind of reminds me of like crustaceans. Well, if you named it that, I'm pretty sure the film franchise would not have done so well.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, founding members of the Chris Pratt Appreciation Club. I mean, seriously, this guy can do no wrong in my eyes. Well, except for maybe Passengers. Yeah, and for totally causing the universe to get dusted. But seriously, this guy is my perpetual man crush Monday. Attention, all you internet shippers.
Chris Pratt is pretty, Bug! For those of you who don't know, we have a bug problem here. And there's these weird little fly thingies. I think they're like fruit flies or gnats or I don't know what they're called. But we have a problem with them and they're every freaking where.
Here's the new hashtag PrattPat. So of course, as Chris Pratt's biggest, totally not creepy, totally not a stalker fan, you know that I'm excited about the new Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I mean, what is not to love about a Six Flags full of dinosaurs? Yeah, sure, but that was just growing pains. Jurassic World, open to the public, and had... Okay, fine. Filling a park with bloodthirsty prehistoric beasts may not be the safest choice. Which begs the question then, is a dino park really doomed for failure, multiple casualties, and more lawsuits than you can shake a shirtless Jeff Goldblum at? And the answer is a decided no. For as difficult as it might seem to run a park like this, all of it, and I do mean all of it, could have been easily avoided if the people running the park had just done some basic research.
Well, that's the same with like most things, right? Like, if you just do the research and you kind of, you know, you try to learn as much as you possibly can about whatever subject, right? Then you're more knowledgeable. Then you're more knowledgeable about it, and you can make better decisions with that knowledge. And you know, I think in Jurassic World they made a lot of bad decisions. So you know, maybe in the new one, they made better ones. I mean, we can only hope, right? I mean, you gotta learn from your mistakes.
All the problems of a major theme park and a major zoo.
Right you are, two-eyed Nick Fury. The Jurassic Parks do in fact have all the problems of a mega-sized zoo coupled with the danger factor of an amusement park. But after studying all of the Jurassic Park films, yes, even Jurassic Park 3, I've come to the conclusion that 3 simple fixes could have completely reversed the course of all of these movies, resulting in hundreds of lives saved, and also a few billion less at the box office. But who's counting? So get ready. Today we're learning how Jurassic World should protect when dinos attack. First, we have to talk space. Now, this should come as no surprise, but wild animals need space in captivity to thrive. If an animal is kept in an enclosure that's too small, well, things are gonna start to get a little hairy. Or I suppose if you're keeping a dinosaur scaly? Feathery at this point? Is it feathery now? Is it feathery now? Anyway, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or AZA, created a manual with the basic tenets of how to treat animals in confinement. Per the manual, there are strict minimums for the amount of space needed for each species based on their size. For example, a lion needs a minimum of 10,000 square feet, a little over the size of a baseball diamond's infield or 5 tennis courts. If that sounds like a lot, well, consider this. In the wild, a typical lion's territory is 100 square miles.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
That's nearly
That's freaking huge! Do you know how much space I need? Like a basement.
300,000 times more than what's being given to them in captivity. But okay, if this is the standard for keeping animals happy in captivity in a humane way, we can apply similar metrics to a dinosaur, and thus approximate the minimum amount of space needed to keep these ancient creatures in check. So the biggest lions are about 4 foot by 8 foot in size, meaning that for every 32 square feet a lion, he needs 10,000 square feet to roam freely. Per scientists, the average T-Rex was just a wee bit bigger, at 18 feet by 40 feet. So for the 720 square feet that a T-Rex covers, he's gonna need 32 over 10,000 equals 720 over X, a minimum of 225,000 square feet to thrive.
That's huge. Also, Matt, you're doing this math off of just a lion or tiger, right? Or I think it's a lion. I don't know. But does that really have anything to do with the size the animal is? Because if you take a tortoise, which, you know, they can be quite big. I mean, they don't need insane amounts of space, right? So, I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with size. I think it depends on the creature itself. Like tigers or lions or whatever, they, you know, they're used to running and doing all this crazy stuff. As you said, they have like 100 square miles of land to go after. But if you take something like a sloth, which they can get pretty big, I mean, they don't need much space. As long as they have their food and stuff, they should be fine. And I mean, they can't really move fast. So I don't think it has anything to do with the size of the animal. I think it has to do with the type of animal.
Nearly 5 acres of land for one thunder lizard. To put it in jock terms, that is 4.5 football fields for one animal. So how well does Jurassic World do when it comes to giving its star attractions the appropriate amount of space? Well, we never actually see the full-sized pen for the T-Rex, but we do get to see it for his genetic mutant brother, the I-Rex. Correction, we kinda get to see it. You see, the movie can't really decide if the I-Rex paddock is a hexagon or an octagon. Maybe they should have spent less time focused on the height of the walls.
The wall's 40 feet high.
But okay, we can do some quick calculations to figure this thing out. First, based on this exterior shot of the paddock being reinforced, we can see that it's shockingly small.
Yeah, it does look kind of small, but I mean, this is just one side of it, right?
Actually, we just heard that the walls are 40 feet high, so by using pixel measurements, we can calculate that this side of the paddock is a little less than 100 feet long, and the whole thing is shaped like a regular octagon, so it's not gonna be that big. That seems absurdly small, so let's double check those numbers. At 35 minutes, 12 seconds into the movie, you can see that they're at a bend in the paddock, with the scratches on the adjacent wall. 30 seconds later, we see Owen enter the paddock with the claw marks directly across from the team. Since the overhead map shows us that the shape of the paddock is a regular octagon, that would mean that they're entering here and walking across to here. Once they get the call to evacuate, it takes my Pratty Pie 8 seconds to sprint towards the exit, only to then be cut off at the halfway point by the I-Rex. They turn around running for their lives, sprinting at top speed, except apparently taking a bit more leisurely of a jog this time, since now it takes exactly 29 seconds for Owen to get to the door that he just ran away from 8 seconds prior. Man, it's almost as if between the Jurassic name, the inconsistent paddock shape, and now Chris Pratt's variable running speed, it's almost like the movie doesn't care if it gets the details right.
I wonder why. I wonder why. Are you telling me, does Steven Spielberg not care about the science? Like, oh yeah, obviously it's not gonna be right. It's for entertainment value. It's for entertainment value. And when I watched it, you know, I didn't notice any flaws in that particular scene. I mean, sure, in some other scenes, maybe there was some logic that wasn't there. But, yeah, I didn't notice anything wrong. But now that you're pointing this out, it's gonna ruin the movie for me, Matt. Why are you trying to ruin this movie for me, Matt?
Nah, that couldn't be it. Anyway, the top sprint speed for an average human is 16 miles per hour, though, Chris Pratt, you'll never be average to me. Meaning that the total length they'd be running from entrance to exit is about 90 feet once you factor in the octagonal shape, getting cut off at the halfway point, etc, etc. Anyway, long story short, the shockingly small dimensions of the I-Rex paddock unbelievably check out. So with wall lengths of 100 feet, the area of the pen winds up being 48,284 square feet. That is the...
Didn't they need like a 100,000 or something?
Size of one football field minus the end zones. It is 1/5 the recommended size for a creature that large. Even if you were to double the size of the paddock as it currently stands, you would still be at less than half of what this creature needs to be kept humanely. There's even an in-universe explanation for why this pen would be so incredibly tiny.
Asset containment insisted we build the walls up higher. It's bigger than expected.
So they adjust.
It's bigger than expected. Man, if that's bigger than expected, I would hate to see what it was before. And also, as I was saying earlier, does the size of an animal have anything to do with the amount of space it needs? Because I don't think it does. I don't think it does. I might be wrong. I'm not an animal expert. But, you know, as I said, you look at a sloth or look at a koala bear. I don't think they need that much space, right? And they're not that small. Like, they can get quite big. They just don't move that much. So I don't think it has anything to do with the size of the animal. I think it has to do with the type of animal and what, like, that animal does, right? Like, lions go crazy. They run around. Sloths and koalas do not.
The height of the walls to accommodate it being bigger, but they didn't actually adjust the size of the paddock. It's no wonder the Indominus Rex was scratching up the walls going crazy. It was living in the dino equivalent of a tiny house. And it's not just the size of the enclosure that matters, but also the design within that enclosure. Again, per the AZA manual, quote, careful consideration should be given to exhibit design so that all areas meet the physical, social, behavioral, and psychological needs of the species. Animals should be displayed whenever possible in exhibits replicating their wild habitat, end quote. Basically what it's saying is the best way to keep an animal happy in confinement is to trick it into believing it's not actually in confinement. Go figure, big surprise. But yet again, Jurassic World fails to meet these absolutely basic standards. The aquatic Mosasaurus is kept in a huge deep tank that spectators watch from underground. There's only one problem with that though. Per historical record, the Mosasaurus was actually more comfortable in shallower waters. Putting it in a deep water tank is the exact opposite of what this animal needs. But the oversight that really comes back to bite them, in a very literal sense, is with the raptors. You see, we always visualize dinosaurs roaming around in dense tropical forests, and for the most part, that's largely true. For example, the majority of all T-Rex fossils were found in North America, the most famous being in the Hell Creek Formation in the Wyoming-Montana area. Now, Montana might seem like a far cry from a tropical paradise, but remember, we're talking about billions of years ago. North America back then was thought to be fairly hot and humid during the Cretaceous period. So,
what was he wearing? Was he wearing a swimming suit?
putting a dino theme park on a tropical island like Isla Nublar, which, according to the movies, is 120 miles west of Costa Rica with an average temperature of 75 degrees Fahrenheit and 80% humidity, well, it's a pretty darn good choice for the T-Rex. In fact, it's a good choice for most of the dinosaurs, except for the velociraptors. You see, raptor fossils were found closer to Mongolia.
So the temperature of the place didn't suit every dinosaur's specific requirements or needs to make them happy. I mean, it makes sense that they could easily fix that issue if they put like a dome over top of the raptor enclosure or whatever, and then like air condition it or whatever.
This area was much more dry and arid during the Cretaceous period. For the raptors to feel comfortable in a tropical environment like Isla Nublar, they would need to be placed in the equivalent of a zoo's desert exhibit. But looking at the raptor enclosures, Jurassic World has made 0 attempts at recreating their natural environments. Imagine putting a polar bear in a jungle. It would be completely crazy. Unless, of course, you were in some sort of tropical island post-death purgatory state.
It's a polar bear.
And yet, that's...
Isn't that from Lost? I think it is. This is a total side note, but if you guys haven't seen Lost, it's really bizarre. And I started watching it, this must have been years and years ago. And I got like 1 season in or something, and it got so freaking weird, I just left. I just left it. Like, I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it. It's too freaking weird. It doesn't make any sense.
It's pretty much exactly what these so-called geniuses at Jurassic World are doing. So, how do you solve a problem like a raptor? Well, you train them. The AZA manual recommends using what's known as operant conditioning, where behaviors are encouraged or discouraged through rewards and punishments. For example, rats were put in a cage with 2 buttons, green and red. If rats pressed the green button, they got food, but if they pressed the red one, they received a mild electric shock. Worst experiment for them ever. Through this type of positive and negative conditioning, the rats learned to only press the green button for food. Real-world zoo and aquarium employees use use similar tactics to teach animals how to behave, reducing the potential
Oh, look how cute that is. Man, I love animals. I love animals so much.
for any sorts of conflict. And it would seem like this is exactly what Owen is doing with the raptors. Owen uses a clicker to control them. If the dinosaurs respond to Owen's click, they're rewarded with food, in essence training them through positive operant conditioning. Oh, Chris, you're such a clever girl. But apparently not clever enough. Sorry, Chris, I still stan you. Hashtag PratPat forever. But I'm telling you this because I don't want you to become a Dinos Monty, Chris. Ugh, God, that was bad for even me. You see, you keep pushing the clicker. You push it repeatedly to get the raptor's attention. According to zoologists who actually use this technique, all you're gonna do is just confuse the animals. One click, one reward. If you want to get the animals to respond with special enthusiasm for an action, you should increase the rewards associated with a single click, like giving it more food. You don't increase the number of clicks. More clicks only dilute the positive reinforcement you've already conditioned the animal for, which honestly is going to explain why Owen's control over the raptors doesn't always work that well.
Okay, that makes sense. That actually makes sense. I think.
Looks like someone needs to get better at clickbaiting. I gotta say, I'm proud of that one. Now, obviously, all this seems like a lot to fix. Train dinosaurs to respond to positive and negative stimuli, increase their living space, and design each habitat for each dino's individual needs. But there's already a real-world counterpart that's done exactly these things. Well, without the dinosaurs, that is. The Kilimanjaro Safari at Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's actually kinda crazy the amount of work that went into this tour. Animals are set loose and allowed to quote-unquote roam free in open spaces designed for each species. But it's all a magic trick. It's all an illusion. Hidden moats and rock formations sprinkled throughout the park separate carnivorous animals from their potential
Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say, is that really the best idea, trying to replicate real life? Because in real life, you know, the tigers go after the zebras and whatnot, and there's a lot of bloodshed in that, so maybe it's not the best idea, but if they, you know, if they separate it so that these are, you know, safe, it makes more sense.
prey, which includes humans, keeping the animals in check while still keeping them happy and on display. The rocks where the lions hang out, totally air-conditioned. Seriously, there are air conditioning blowers built into these things. And if it gets cold, they have heaters built in too, which encourages the lions to hang out in plain view. To encourage the animals to be more active, Disney installed concrete feeders hidden as elements in the environment, like broken tree limbs and rocks. And as far as operant conditioning is concerned, at the end of every day, each animal has been specially trained to respond to different sounds. The crocodiles have a metal bar that's being hit underwater, elephants come in to the beat of a drum, giraffes listen for a cowbell, and a duck call is used for the gazelles. It's the perfect example for Jurassic World to follow. Isla knew.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I never knew that. So it's kind of a magic trick. Yes, but it's more of the magic trick for the viewers, the people actually going for the tours, because they don't know, for the most part, most of them wouldn't know how it all works. So they'd be going into it or going through the tour or whatever, thinking, you know, oh, look at this, look at, oh, they're so peaceful and whatnot, or, you know, something like that. But really, it's all just a trick for the viewers. Like, they have the food to make it look like the animals are eating grass or whatever. Oh, that's brilliant, actually.
Nublar is a whopping 30 square miles in size, so there is plenty of room. Owen gets good as a trainer, they add in some controlled climates, easy as that, no deaths, no lawsuits. Long story short, if you find yourself buying a zoo of any type, prehistoric or otherwise, just learn how the animals behave. It'll save a lot of lives. Or, I don't know, you could just sell the whole thing to Disney. But something tells me that Universal ain't gonna be doing that anytime soon. But hey, that's just a theory! A film theory.
Yeah, MatPat's right on this. MatPat is right on this. 100% right. Well, then again, I mean, what about the thing I was saying, you know, does it actually matter how big an animal is? How will that determine how much space it needs, right? Does it actually matter, or does it matter more of what type of animal it is? Because koala bears or sloths, I don't think they need that much space because they don't freaking move that much for the most part, right? They wouldn't need that much. They might be fine in a basement, basically where I am. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, pause and share with a friend. If you're new, subscribe to the family. Also, make sure you guys go subscribe to the Film Theorist. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Boop.